Did you know that between 16 and 19 million people were shipped across the Atlantic Ocean? No, it's not the largest migration in recorded history. The largest forced migration in recorded history is the transatlantic slave trade. Between the 16th and the 19th century, between 10 and 12 million enslaved black Africans were transported across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. This was a central component of the so-called triangular trade, which connected Europe, Africa, and the Americas in a cycle of commerce and exploitation. Europeans would sail to Africa with manufactured goods which they would exchange for enslaved people. These Europeans then sailed to the Americas and sold the enslaved people in the markets there, and then they would use the profits to buy more manufactured goods to continue the cycle. But the story of the transatlantic slave trade is more than just numbers and statistics. It is a story of immense human suffering. Enslaved people were subjected to horrific treatment. They were crammed together on ships, denied basic necessities, and treated as property rather than human beings. Many died during the journey, and those who survived were often left with physical and psychological scars that lasted a lifetime. One of the most important things to understand about the transatlantic slave trade is that it was not just about economics. It was also about race and racism. Enslaved people were seen as less than human, and this belief was used to justify their mistreatment. This idea of white supremacy would have a lasting impact on the world, and it wasn't until many years later that people began to challenge these racist ideas. So what can we learn from this dark chapter in history? One important lesson is the importance of empathy and understanding. We must try to imagine what it was like for those who were enslaved and also understand the long-lasting effects of slavery. Another important lesson is the need for social responsibility. We must all work to create a more just and equitable world for all people. This means challenging racism and discrimination wherever we see it and working to dismantle the systems of oppression that continue to exist today. Finally, we must remember that the transatlantic slave trade was not some ancient event that happened in the distant past. It was a relatively recent event that ended only in the 19th century. We must keep this in mind as we work to create a better future. By learning about the transatlantic slave trade, we can honor the millions of people who suffered and died during this horrific period in history. We can also better understand the world we live in today and work towards a more just and equitable future for all. Thank you for watching.